Do you like to build things?
Yeah.
And take things apart?
Yeah.
You can use a hammer and nails.
And a saw. And a screwdriver.
It's fun to play with tools and make things. How would you like to see people build a real house?
Yeah. Welcome to the Big Renovation.
Our adventure begins here, at this house. In the beginning, it was home to this family. The house was just the right size. But then the family grew. Now the house was too small, but the family loved the house and didn't want to move. So they decided to renovate the house and make it larger.
The roof is pitched and it meets.
First thing they did was find an architect. This is Jim Weiner. He is the architect who will design the new renovation.
Well, what I do is help a homeowner turn their needs into a set of drawings that a builder can use to build the addition to the homeowner's house.
Jim and his partner work on the drawings for the renovation.
The process involves measuring the house and doing sketches, showing the owner different ways of putting their project together. And then once the owner has selected design, we'll do what we call construction documents. And that's really the set of drawings that the builder uses to construct the project.
For our house, the architect designed a new front and added a whole new upstairs. Look!
Wow.
These are the plans for the house. They're called blueprints. There are two different views in a blueprint. The elevation view shows the walls of the house as if you were standing in front of it. The plan view shows the layout of the rooms, as if you were looking straight down on the house from up in a tall tree. When the plans are done, we find the person who will build the house, the contractor. This is Jens Christensen, our contractor. He looks over the plans and figures out all of the materials, all the people, and all the tools he will need to build the house. He calculates how long the job will take and how much it will cost.
You supply with a set of plans and then we talk over exactly which steps to take.
When the owners agree to the price, Jens goes to work.
Then you line up all the different tradespeople that is involved in the job.
The family has moved everything out of the house. The rooms are empty. The living room, the hallway, the parents' bedroom, and the children's bedroom. In a few months, the house will be completely changed. The contractor and his team cover the floors and the kitchen cabinets to protect them during the work. The first step is demolition.
What's demolition?
See the areas marked on the plans? These parts of the house must be removed. This is called demolition. The demolition crew begins at the roof and takes it all off. The old pieces are put in a large dumpster that will later be hauled away. While the demolition crew works on the outside, The contractor works inside to carefully remove the molding and doors. These will be used again, so they are labeled to show which room they came from. It takes many days of hard work to demolish part of the house.
Watch out below!
When you demolish an old house, you never know what you'll find.
What's that?
That's a beehive that was built completely inside the wall of the house. It's an old hive, and there are no bees in it.
Are there other bugs in the walls?
If there is a crack in the wall, it might be home for an insect.
Can insects damage a house?
Yes. See this piece of wood? It used to look like this.
What did that?
Termites. To learn about termites, we come here to the University of Georgia Entomology Department. Entomology is the study of insects. Dr. Forschler and his team study termites and their behavior.
Termites can do a considerable amount of damage in any wooden part of a house, so that you might fall through the floor or part of the wall might fall down because the termites have eaten the wood. We've found that the average group of termites eats about a 5-inch section of 2x4 every year.
Dr. Forschler and his lab team work on finding out more about how termites behave and what kinds of wood they eat.
You guys want to try another piece? We can draw a small circle and then some kind of squiggly line coming off of that circle.
Termites have a strong sense of smell. Watch how they will follow a line of ink drawn on a piece of paper.
Look, they're playing follow the leader.
Follow the ink.
Their research may someday help us learn how to better control termites so they won't damage houses.
Ooh, they just crashed again.
The contractor checks to see if any of the wood is rotten or damaged. If they find rotten wood, they replace it with new wood. Now demolition is complete. There is no roof on the house. At the end of the day, the crew puts a giant plastic sheet over the house to keep out rain and snow. Now it's time for framing. The framing plans show how the lumber is put together to make the house. The wood frame gives the house its strength and structure. The framing crew begins by putting in the upstairs floor. This creates the ceiling for the downstairs. They follow the plans to measure and cut the wood. Then they nail it together.
They use hammers and nails.
And they use a nail gun. Watch. The nail gun shoots a nail into the wood, just like a hammer, only it's a lot easier and a lot faster.
Cool.
The first lumber nailed in are 2x12s for the upstairs floor.
Why are they called 2x12s?
Lumber is measured by how thick it is and how wide it is. This wood is 2 inches thick and 12 inches wide, so it is called a 2x12. This is a 2x4. It is 2 inches thick and 4 inches wide.
Where does lumber come from?
Lumber comes from trees grown in large forests, like these. When the trees are large enough, they are sawed down and taken here, to the sawmill. Giant trucks full of heavy logs arrive at the sawmill. Then, a large crane unloads the logs and puts them on a conveyor. A conveyor separates the logs, and a big saw cuts each log into measured lengths. Then the logs go through the debarker, where the bark is removed. The old bark is boiled and used later as fuel. This saw cuts out the defects and small branches and makes the logs round and smooth. The defective pieces are chopped up and sent to another mill to be made into paper. Now the logs are ready for the computerized saw. This machine scans each log for the best way to get the most lumber out of it, like 2x4, 2x6, or 2x8. Each log can be sawed differently. Then the lumber is cut to length and sorted. It is then taken here, to the kiln, where it is heated and dried. After that, it goes to the planer, to be cut smooth. Now the lumber is finished. Workers at the mill give a grade to each board.
A grade? How does that work?
The best lumber is marked number 1. It has really smooth grain and no knots. The next best lumber is marked number 2. And then the next is marked number 3, and so on. This sawmill can saw up to 10,000 logs every week. Here is a new load of lumber for our renovation. The contractor orders enough lumber for the framing crew every few days. Piles of lumber are always great for playing.
Be careful!
Jim, the architect, stops by to check on the progress.
When we go to a job site, we look to see that the work that they're doing is the work that we've drawn. We want to make sure that they're following the construction documents, that is their set of directions. And then we also want to answer questions that they might have in the field, or we want to identify problems that might come up.
Sometimes, after the demolition, things aren't exactly like the plans. So the architect and the contractor find ways to fix the problem. It takes a team effort to renovate a house. After the floor joists are put in, then the floor is installed. Our floor is made of 4-foot by 8-foot pieces of plywood. When the floor is done, it's time to build the outside walls. The framing crew builds them on the floor in large pieces. Then they all work together to lift them into place and nail them down. Now you can see how the second story begins to take shape. The framers leave large holes for the windows and doors, and even a hole for the stairs. These 2x8s are called the rafters. They support the roof. On the outside, they are covered with plywood and then tar paper to keep the rain out. When the roof is on, you can see the whole new shape of the house. Now crews can work on the house in all kinds of weather. They call this stage of the project dried in. It's time for the plumbing rough-in. The plumber installs the water pipes and drain pipes for each bathroom. He has to measure carefully and cut round holes in the walls and in the floors to allow for the pipes. The large pipes are drain pipes and are made of a special plastic called PVC. Watch how the plumber connects the sections of pipe together.
He uses glue, like a model.
PVC pipe can be glued together with a special cement. The small pipes are for water, hot water and cold water. They are made of copper and have to be soldered together.
What's solder?
Solder is a soft metal that can be melted easily with a flame. When it dries, it bonds the pipe together. The plumber has to be very careful to make sure the pipes don't leak. These cold water pipes will be connected to the city water supply pipe that runs under the street. Hot water pipes are connected to the hot water heater in the basement. It uses gas flames to heat up the water and keep it warm in this large tank. Pipes from the hot water heater run up to each sink and bathtub in the house. After the plumbing rough-in, it's time for the electrical rough-in. The electricians run the wires into the walls and ceilings. The electricians install plastic boxes that will later be connected to the switches and lights. They do not connect the wires to electricity until the very end of the job, so there is no danger to anyone on the work crew. The HVAC crew now installs some of the wall ducts for the heating and air conditioning system.
What's HVAC?
It stands for heating, ventilation, and air conditioning.
How does it work?
The heating system in this house is called a forced air system. The heating and air conditioning unit has a powerful fan that pushes air through the ducts to every room in the house, like blowing through a straw. These ducts are called supply ducts. Other ducts suck the old air back to the unit to be heated or cooled. These ducts are called return ducts. The whole system is controlled by a thermostat that keeps the house at a comfortable temperature. The contractor has crews working all over the house. This old window will be replaced. It has to be removed very carefully so that neither the house nor the window are damaged. It will later be recycled for someone else to use. Throughout the job, the contractor follows the blueprints and supervises the work done by all the different crews.
Look at that!
The bathtubs and shower units are loaded into the house through the holes made for the windows. These units are so large they can never fit through the doors.
Wow!
Everyone works together to put it carefully in place. The framers have already cut the wood to the exact size of the bathtub, so it fits perfectly. Then the plumbing crew connects all the pipes for the shower and the faucets. The upstairs HVAC unit is now installed in the attic. It will heat and cool the new upstairs. A bricklayer patches up the brick chimney to make it strong and secure. He puts cement on the bricks, and when it dries, it will hold them together. The new windows have arrived. They are insulated windows, so they keep the house comfortable in winter and summer.
How do they work?
A single piece of glass lets heat and cold pass through very easily. But insulated windows have 2 pieces of glass, with a space of air sealed inside. This layer of air keeps heat and cold from passing easily through the window, so the house stays warmer in the winter and cooler in the summer. Before the new windows are installed, they are painted to protect them from the wet outdoors. The framers have left holes for each window, just like on the drawings. It's important that the windows are perfectly level, so they open easily. Now the roofing crew installs the shingles. They use a little elevator to lift heavy shingles up on the roof. They are nailed on, one on top of another, so that water will run off the roof and stay out of the house. Fiberglass insulation is installed in the outside walls and ceilings. This prevents heat and cold from coming through the walls and keeps the house comfortable. Walls inside the house, called interior walls, will have special sound insulation. This keeps noise in one room from going to other rooms in the house. Now the crews install the exterior siding. First, they finish off the walls and cover them with tar paper, which is waterproof. Then they nail on the siding. This siding is made of a special concrete that is waterproof and will not rot. It is also very strong. They measure to make sure that the siding is put on very straight. In between the siding, they install wooden boards according to the architect's drawings.
What's that?
That's cement. It will be used for the front porch. First, the dry cement is mixed with water and then poured into the ground.
It looks like mud.
It is like mud, but in a couple of days, it will be as hard as a rock. Inside the house, electricians install the final rough wiring, like these ceiling lights and this fan. At this time, the new phone lines are installed along with the wires for the security system. Crews also installed wires for the computer network, telephone lines, and cable television, all inside the walls. They even put in speaker wires, so there would be music all through the house. Soon everything inside the walls will be covered. Now it's time for the crew to nail up sheetrock on all the walls and ceilings. After the installation is complete, the inside of the house looks completely different. The bedroom once looked like this. Now it looks like this. This is the office before and after the sheetrock crew. Everything is covered except for holes left for electrical switches and outlets.
What's sheetrock?
Sheetrock, or drywall, is a special type of board made of plaster sandwiched between two pieces of cardboard. In the bathrooms, we use a plastic drywall that is waterproof. Now, the drywall has to be finished. This is a difficult job that has to be done very careful. The drywall finisher covers the joints, where the pieces of sheetrock come together. He covers them with tape and fills them with a special putty called mud.
Mud?
The finishing job is the most important job as far as the final results. What we have to do, we have to make some things that are crooked straight just by using the mud. We have to try to make it straight from the beginning. When we first start taping, we start out trying to make it straight and we just build on it from that point. So to come out with the quality job that we want at the end.
Look, he's on stilts.
Drywall finishers use special stilts so they can reach into high corners and finish joints in the ceilings.
Yeah! He sure looks tall from down here.
When the mud completely dries, it has to be sanded so it's perfectly smooth. It takes a lot of work and skill to get the walls and ceilings ready for painting.
We want it nice and smooth, straight finish after it's painted, so you won't see any of the joints, and it just looks like one whole complete system. That really makes us feel good when we can walk off of a job and say, this is a good job.
Watch how the shower comes together. First, there is just a plastic sheet on the floor for waterproofing. Next, the tile crew begins to install the floors and walls. They are made of a special waterproof material called Wonderboard. The tile men then put on cement with a trowel and put the ceramic tiles in place. Each one has to be straight and level. Some tiles need to be cut into smaller pieces. Since the ceramic tiles are very hard, the crew uses a high-speed saw that is cooled by water.
How do they make tiles?
The tiles for our bathroom are made here and this plant near Dallas, Texas. First, clay from the Tennessee mountains is delivered by train. A rail car dumps the clay onto a conveyor. Then it is ground into a very fine dust, like baby powder. It then goes to this giant machine where it is pressed into tile shape.
It looks like a giant cookie cutter.
This machine pushes down with a force of 3,000 pounds per square inch, so the clay is pressed together. From here, the tiles go on to be dried and painted.
Painted?
The tiles are sprayed with a glaze, a special paint that will give them color and make them shiny after they are baked in an oven.
An oven?
It's called a kiln. It's a giant gas oven that heats the tiles to over 2,000 degrees.
Wow, that's hot.
Tiles ride into the kiln on little railroad carts. It takes them 12 hours to go all the way through the kiln. Look carefully. Can you see the fire inside? When the tiles come out of the kiln, they are finished bathroom tiles. Now the tiles are sorted and packaged. Workers examine each tile to see if there are any defects. If any tile has a problem, it's back to the beginning, where it will be ground up and made into new tiles. The perfect tiles are packaged and shipped out. The tile crew makes sure that all the tiles are lined up in straight rows. Sometimes they use little plastic guides to help line them up. After tiles are laid down on the floor, no one can walk on them for 2 days until the cement dries. Then the little spaces between the tiles are filled with a special cement called grout. The tile crew makes sure the grout gets in all the tiny cracks and then wipes it down with a large sponge. The office will have built-in bookshelves and cabinets. Jens builds these in large sections in his shop.
I really enjoy the challenge of being able to create a cabinet, to do work with my hands and create something and see the final product.
The cabinets arrive at the house and are connected together, one at a time. This has to be done very carefully, so everything fits just right.
I go in and get everything leveled out and make sure that it's going to work, and then I start installing all the cabinets.
The cabinets and shelves have to be perfectly level, so Jens uses small pieces of wood called shims under the bases to make them level.
You shim it up, you set all the bases first, and then you set the cabinets on top of that.
The level is double-checked for accuracy.
That's very critical, I mean, for the doors and everything to work properly.
This will be a built-in desk. And these will be cabinets for a television and a stereo. This is how the room looks after the cabinets and bookshelves have been installed. While the cabinets are being built, painters outside the house sand and chip away old paint to prepare the surfaces. The painters start by spraying everything with primer. They cover every surface of the house, outside and inside. After the primer, painters paint on the color. Many rooms will be white, but look at this room. This is a children's bedroom. Painting is hard work. Every corner and every nook needs to be painted with at least 2 coats of paint. The outside trim is white, and the siding and the bricks are painted gray. Paint is the final layer on the walls of the house.
What's a wall made out of?
The walls of a house have many layers. First, there is the framing, 2x4 lumber, called studs. Inside those 2x4s is the fiberglass insulation. Then there is a layer of plywood. On top of that is tar paper to keep out the rain. On top of that is the siding, which is covered with primer and paint. On the inside wall is sheetrock, which is finished and then covered with primer and paint.
Wow, there's a lot of things inside the wall of a house.
Now it's time to install the doors and do the finishing work. This is where carpenters cut and install all the wood trim that goes around the doors, the windows, along the floor, and lots of other places in the house. Watch how a door gets installed and finished. First, the carpenter measures the door opening to make sure it is the right size and installs the door frame. He then connects this door onto the hinges. This is called hanging a door. Now he measures around the door frame for the molding. Then he carefully cuts the wood at a 45-degree angle to make a perfect corner. Look how well it matches. He nails in the wood with small nails called finishing nails. It's fun to watch a house being built, but remember to ask permission and be careful.
What's this for?
This wood will be the railing on the stairs, called the banister. Watch how it's made. First, the carpenter saws all the pieces that will hold up the railing. He has to figure out how many pieces it will take to do the job. Each one has to be exactly the same length. Then he nails them to the bottom piece of wood, one at a time. Jens comes by to see how it will look. This is the railing that goes on top. Watch how it fits on the short pieces. Soon it will be a finished stairway. Now the bathroom cabinets are installed, and the plumbing crew puts in the faucets and hooks up the drains. They also install all the other bathroom fixtures. This is how they look when they are finished. Electricians now install the outlets and switches. Each one has to be connected to lots of wire. Each wire has to be screwed in tight. Then, the switches and outlets are installed into the plastic boxes in the wall. Now the wood floors go in. flooring crew lays out the oak floor lumber and cuts it into the proper length. When all the pieces are laid out, they are hammered down. The flooring boards are made in special shapes. One side has a slot, called a groove, and the other side has a tab, called a tongue. The tongue fits into the groove on the next board, so they all fit tightly into another. After the floor is nailed down, it is sanded smooth. Then, all the dust is vacuumed up, and the floor is covered with a clear finish called lacquer. All that's left are the final details. The light switches, the hardware on the doors, the outside lights, and even the doorbell.
What's that?
That's sod for the lawn. The front lawn of our house has taken a beating during the construction, so we're going to replace it. Watch. First, crews completely remove the old lawn. Then they put down fertilizer, and then roll out the sod.
It looks like a carpet.
They slice off the edges along the sidewalk and cut around the trees. In one day, it's a new front lawn.
How does that look?
Now, our renovation is finished. Let's look at how the house has changed. The new living room is larger. And the parents' bedroom was turned into a family room connected to the kitchen. The new upstairs contains a parents' bedroom and bath, and 2 children's bedrooms with their own bathroom in between. The old children's bedroom was turned into an office and library with cabinets for the television. The family loves their new old house. Let's take another look at all the people who worked to make the big renovation possible. Let's look back and see how the house changed during our big renovation.
Here's how you can find out more information about topics mentioned in this video. Use your computer and look up these websites. And remember to check out the Little Mammoth website at www.littlemammoth.com.